combo with the score. Strong take. Here comes Durant. Forbes connects on a three. Bang! It hits the score. Finger rolling left side. No way! Cincinnati has done it.
Athletic Conference Basketball Media Days. Season's going to tip off in just a few weeks, and we are here to preview it all for you from our beautiful studios in Irving, Texas. Thank you so much for joining us. We started off yesterday with 5 teams. We have 6 schools that will go today. So excited. Thank you for joining us. So here's a look at how day 2 breaks down. First, leading us off will be Cincinnati. We will hear from both the women's and the men's programs for each of these teams. The women will kick it off for Cincinnati, followed by East Carolina, UCF, Tulsa, Tulane, and Memphis will round out our day today and finish up the American Athletic Conference Basketball Media Days. And to break it all down is Brooke Weisbrod and Mike O'Donnell will be here all day to preview the schools. But we want to take a look first. Yesterday we released the coaches preseason poll for the conference, and here's how things shook out. Houston, who was in the Final Four last year, taking the top spot. Memphis follows closely at 2.
Yeah, I think these are right in line. I mean, we heard from head coach Kelvin Sampson yesterday. He kind of underplayed his team. I'm curious what Penny Hardaway has to say at his team, but I think we're going to have one of the most competitive AAC seasons we've seen in a long time.
I agree with you, Brooke. When you look at outside Houston and Memphis, SMU, Wichita State, and the outlier, UCF, all 3 enough talent to be at-large teams in the NCAA tournament this season.
So that is a look at the men's poll. As we get an opportunity to talk to the coaches and players today, I want to ask you if there's one thing that you want asked to these coaches today, what would it be?
So last night, I don't know if it was Memphis Midnight Madness, what it's called, Penny Hardaway pulls up in what looked like a Batmobile.
It was the Batmobile, I think.
Big flex. I'm going to need to know what that car was and the story behind it, because that was awesome.
That is going to be the first question of the day. Mike, what are you interested in hearing
Hard
today?
to follow that up. I don't know how to follow up the Batmobile conversation, but I am interested to hear from Coach Wes Miller, first year at Cincinnati. A lot of new faces. He's got to put in a new system with the pressures of winning now at a Bearcats program. It's going to be interesting to talk with him.
So Cincinnati is first on the docket. We'll hear from them. It'll be the women's portion of that school that is up first. Here's a look at the women's preseason coaches poll. The war on I-4 at the top. South Florida, UCF. What else interests you?
Possibly the biggest preseason expectations for UCF and Coach Abe since she's been there. At-large bid type team. All 5 starters return. This is a really good UCF team. How do you keep those starters motivated in practice?
2 things. Memphis all the way down at 11. Keep your eye on them. Coach Merriweather is not having that. And also, you got to love the confidence. Coach A being like, nah, I'm putting my team in the first spot.
Yeah, we did. We had a little bit of some bulletin board use material yesterday. One question you want to hear asked today from the women.
Yeah, I think of Coach Merriweather at Memphis. You know, how do you feel about being picked last in this league, considering you've come from such a winning culture? You know, building that, is that a little chip on your shoulder and something to prove them wrong by the end of the season?
Is there something you're interested in learning today?
Well, you mentioned the bulletin board material for UCF, and I think externally from the media perspective, it's fun to talk about, but what do you do in the locker room if there is a slight or slowdown in practice? You keep those players motivated. That UCF team could be really good.
Well, we're going to start first with Cincinnati up. There's only one new head coach on the men's side. That is Wes Miller. We'll hear from him. How about Jeremiah Davenport making the second team all-conference coming up? Last year, 12.7 points per game. And we will start it off with the women. Head coach Michelle Clark-Hurd, her 4th season there at Cincinnati. We'll hear from her coming up next.
This could be terrifying, but it's not. Most college grads are out there scrambling to find that first job. But he's got multiple offers for his fourth because of the 3 co-op jobs he did in school beforehand. The University of Cincinnati invented this move beyond the classroom more than a century ago, and Bearcats have been ahead of the game ever since. Next lives here.
In 2019, Cincinnati's Akira Levy got to meet country music star Kenny Chesney, and in the middle of his concert, she was invited up on stage to sing her favorite song right alongside Chesney. Oh, and by the way, if you couldn't tell from this video, she has an incredible voice and has been singing all of her life.
Well, we are all jealous of that, getting to be on stage with Kenny Chesney. That's awesome. I'm Chris Budden, Brooke Weisbro, Mike O'Donnell here for today's Basketball Media Days. Excited to kick things off with Cincinnati. So let's get it started. Head coach Michelle Clark-Hurd, her 4th season there at Cincinnati. Coach, picked 6th in the preseason poll. You add a lot of new faces. What have you learned so far about your team in the short few practices you've had?
Just really excited. Excited about our chemistry, excited about our growth from the summer to where we're at now, and just having a great time every day just with them and just getting everyone comfortable and learning the system and just working together.
So here's how today will work. We will have people hopping on the Zoom to ask you some questions, and they will toss it over to you. Let's send it over to Tom Fenstermaker, who has those questions for you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Coach. And just a reminder to our media, if you want to use the wave hand feature in the chat to ask a question, we'll get to you in time. Our first question will be from Keith Jenkins of the Cincinnati Enquirer.
Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Obviously, a lot of new faces this season. One face that's not there is Amari Thomas. Can you kind of talk about what went her to this decision to head west, and then how do you anticipate, making up for such a huge loss that she is?
I'm happy for Imari. She had a chance to go back home and be in California. She's a West Coast kid. Did a lot of great things for our program. Was amazing to have the opportunity to coach her for 3 years, and but we've moved forward. When I say that, it's never going to be one person that's going to replace Mari. That's just, she's a phenomenal player that's done a lot of great things. But what I'm really excited about is just being able to have a collective group of young ladies that are looking forward to working together to put all the pieces together so we can be great. I want to give a lot of credit to Aram and Jill. They've been great and really plugging in the new ones along with our returners, and everyone has gotten better. They left and understood and knew what the task would be, and that would be for us to get better and come back and just add to the people that we had in place coming to help us.
All right, our next question will be from Christy Thomas-Cuddy of ESPN.
Hi, Michelle. I know it's early, but from an offense perspective, so much went through Thomas to run your offense last year. So how is the offense going to look differently? And then more importantly to me is you run such a dynamic, intricate defensive system with so many new faces. How's that implementation going to this point?
Well, that's first, I think you're right. The ball went through Mari a lot last year, but if you've watched me for a long time, you understand and know as a coach, we've always been very motion type offense where it flows a lot going through our guards and then, inside out, of course. What I'm really excited about is, Akira Levy is going to add a lot with her ability to be able to pass the ball and her energy and how she plays. And then a lot of players have really came in and have gotten better. Jillian Hayes has really worked to get in great shape. We have a lot of, Aram has just really transformed her game. She was more of an outside face-up player last year, really worked from the spring and the summer to really work on with her back to the basket because we also understand and know we was going to be missing Mari in the post. So that's how that'll flow. We're still going to play the same way. There would just be multiple people having opportunities, just as my first 2 years in this league. When you go back and look at how we played earlier on, when you had Ant and Angel and Sam and a lot of different players, there was a lot of ability for different players to score in different ways. And that's the way we're working toward getting back to that. The magic question, when you talked about all my defenses and how that goes. How is that going? It's a very slow process. And I want to make sure that we are being able to have our new players really get a chance to really understand what our defensive philosophy is first, so we can really get really good in the half court. Then we start to add all the different things. It's a process in building up to that. So they've been working really hard, and what we want to do as coaches is to make sure, that we're not trying. Said I have to understand and know patience, but also to understand and know that it's going to be a process. So we're going to have to take steps into where previously, after my first year here, we were able to just roll into different defenses and do a lot of different things. Well, now we're going to really have to take some baby steps.
Thank you.
All right, our next question will be from Justin Williams from The Athletic.
Hey, Coach. Is there anything that you kind of were forced to do because of the pandemic last year differently that you are actually now keeping and implementing the system moving forward, or is everything from last year just kind of put to last year and you're moving on from all that stuff?
That's a great question. I definitely think that last year I feel like I learned a lot and grew a lot as a head coach. Definitely not going to throw those moments away, because those were something that I feel like everyone across the country had to learn how to deal with. But at the end of the day, last year is last year. But I really believe that what we grew during the whole season and everything we went through. So how we ended our season, I was very proud of our group, because through all the adversity we went through with all the injuries, not knowing how many people were going to be on the floor at one time, those things are going to carry over and have carried over with our returners. So I'm really excited about that. The growth that they learned from last year to where we're at now really helped them be able to be prepared to be able to welcome all the new ones in. And so those are the things that we'll definitely take from that, but also too just really understanding and knowing how humble we are that we're in a position that we're going to have a chance to be able to play again.
Hey, Coach, Brooke Weisbrod in the studio. It's one of the things I really enjoy about your program is the international flavor that you have. You add 2 more players this season as well. Can you talk about the benefits of having different cultures on your team and how that kind of benefits you guys to being so strong?
Well, the thing that I love about it is gives us an opportunity where you can also bring some players that have played against some professional players that have that experience, and you bring them in, and it's, as I always say, and I talk about this, it's kind of like a melting pot. So I'm really excited that we have the opportunity to bring them in, because we bring that experience. We bring the ability for them to come from different walks of life, but it also helps us grow, not only on the court, but off the court. So some maturity, I think, is the difference sometimes bringing an international player on the team compared to maybe a true freshman that comes in, because of the experience, the people they've played against, and just understanding and knowing what it's like to play at the highest level.
Hey, Coach Mike O'Donnell in the studio. I love watching your teams play defense. It's so scatter report driven, and from a basketball geek like myself, it's really enjoyable to watch. But I'm curious, where does that defensive philosophy, that attention to detail, come from when you're coaching these young women?
That's a great question. I just really, I decided when I had the first opportunity to get a head coaching job that defense was something that I really was going to really focus on, and really get our players to understand that the offensive end was kind of their end. That's why we run the motion the way we do and try to get up and down the floor and play in transition. I just love that part of the game. I love being in situations where, you can change up and get your players to really get excited about what that looks like. A lot of that comes from coaching with Jeff Walls. I coached with Jeff and was able to, coach in the Final Four and do those things. And, with great players and players that buy in, you can do a lot of different things. And so I learned a lot of that just being in that environment, but also just really understanding and knowing what your team can do and how they really, it's all about buy-in. If they really trust and know that you believe that they can get it done, just having them really prepared and ready for what that looks like, and understanding and knowing that the game changes in so many moments. And so when we have those opportunities to change up defenses and do the things we do, they really enjoy it. And so just breaking it down, getting them to that part where we can get really good at one thing first, so then we can add and move on to what those other things look like defensively for us.
All right, our next question will be from JT Smith from the Front Office News.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
With you know, having so many new faces, how key is it to have a few people that were holdover from last year's team?
Oh, it's really crucial. I have a lot of new faces, you're right. And, one thing we talk about as a team is that, this program we're continuing to build, and we're building on our culture. And so the returners are very, very important, an important piece to the culture of what we're trying to do and what that looks like. We've brought in some amazing new players and transfers that really understand that. And that we've been very fortunate that the players that we have brought in, that the relationships that myself and the coaching staff have with them kind of really understand and know, who we are as people and what we're looking for on the floor. So it's very important. And I can't express how proud I am of the returners and how they have came in and just really took the whole rim of the team and put culture and what that looks like for us and just really bought into that. So I'm really happy with everything that they're doing for us to keep progressing so we can get better and better each day.
All right, we'll have a follow-up from Christy Thomas-Cuddy.
Michelle, in my mind, you're a veteran coach, even though it's just going to be year 4 for you at Cincy. In light of everything that's going on from a global perspective, we had the pandemic. We now have the transfer portal that's so huge and impacting coaches. Are you where you thought you would be in building this program to the expectations that you have? And if not, can you talk about how some of these outside things have impacted where you wanted to be at this point?
That's a great question. I feel very fortunate that when we got here as a staff, we had the group that we did, and we had a chance to be very successful. I mean, we made it to a championship game in year 2. So, when you look at the bigger picture of where I thought we would be, last year definitely was not a year that we expected, especially because of when you look at the wins and the losses. But one thing that I do look at is just our growth of our program and where we are now. I'm really excited. I think it also shows a lot when, you talk about the transfer portal. When you look at our record last year and you look at the transfers that we were able to get this year to add to our program, I think it speaks volumes to where our culture is and where we're growing as a program. Because everyone wants to go to a program where they're going to have a chance to win. And so I think that last year, even though we went through what we did with the injuries, the adversity, you look at where we ended and how, we won those last games leading up to the end of the season. I think it really shows how we have really continued to build and where we're trying to go. And so the transfer portal, for us was a great opportunity because these young ladies that came, from other, Power 5 schools are really basically going to be freshmen. And so, for us building up, this is a great opportunity for us to keep growing our program and growing our culture.
All right, and our last question will be from Chad Brendel of Bearcat Journal.
Hey, Coach, there seems to be a great energy that is kind of going through the Linder Center right now. Can you talk about everybody kind of pulling in the same direction and the vibe that's going through the athletic department right now, and maybe also how have you helped maybe welcome Wes Miller into that as the new guy?
Yeah. Well, first, when you talk about the Linder Center, you talk about athletics, the first thing we got to talk about is how football is doing amazing. And it's just so awesome to be in the Linder Center and being in the same building and the same vicinity as, you know, that program and the coaches and the players, and we're all in this one building together. And so, you know, definitely it's such an excitement that's going around. And, you know, when you have great coaches, you know, in the building, not only with, you know, Fickle and Wes and everyone else, we're all pulling, we're a family, and we're all pulling for each other. But when you have, you know, football being on the stage that they're on, and just every single week killing it, is so exciting. As far as with Wes and his staff, they've been incredible. You know, he's been running around. Of course, I understand and know what that looks like from when I first got here. So I think he's doing a phenomenal job. I try to poke my head into their practices and do things like that. His energy is contagious. I mean, he's everywhere. And I think that, you know, that's one thing that's so exciting just about athletics in general for us. And so I'm looking forward to continuing to just be able to go watch and learn things from him and his program. And I think the greatest thing is just really excited to welcome him here. And I know he's super excited about, you know, his first season.
Coach, we're going to hear from Aram here in just a little bit. I want to get a sense of when they found out they were going to have that extra year for her. I mean, how big is it for those seniors to get one last run at a normal season and to be able to close it out maybe the right way?
You know, it's really big, and especially for Aram. You know, I know a lot of people know her story, but, you know, I signed her at Western Kentucky. And then she sat out her first year at Western Kentucky. Then I took the job here at Cincinnati. She stayed for a year and then decided to transfer here with me at Cincinnati. And, you know, basically only had 1 year left. But that was the relationship that her and I had. And so out of everything, you know, going through the pandemic and, you know, being in a situation where they could get that year back is definitely incredible for her because of the sacrifices that she was going to be willing to take to just play for 1 year and, of course, get her degree. And now she's, you know, working on, you know, in grad school and things like that. So it's just super excited. I'm really happy for her. She's been an unbelievable leader for our team. So having that experience and being able to come back, and I'm really excited to be able to have a chance to coach her for another year.
Well, thank you so much for the time. Looking forward to watching you guys tip things off on November 10th.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. You heard Coach talk about, you know, the success in Cincinnati.